The grammar of my body is different. Sentences. Sentences are spread all over. Full stops come without warning. Past, present, and future seem indifferent. An emptiness resides before words that long for a prefix. You keep bringing me different molds, teaching me what is right, what is wrong, how I'm ordinary, how extraordinary. Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Why don't you hide yourself? Hide yourself in someone's grammar or in a zoo. I know I'm different. Then you come around holding the mirror of normality, preaching the norms of society. And then it seems perhaps there's nothing wrong with the grammar of my body. It is you, bound by the syllabus of ableism, who is unable to read me. Are you able to read me? So this is a poem, and why I read this is because this is the origin story of the book, how it gets its title, The Grammar of My Body. It was originally a Hindi poem, which I used to perform in Delhi, and it was the first expression of the idea of countering the able-bodied gaze that I had when I went out and really talked with an able-bodied audience about disability. And I'm sure, you might not have come across many narratives of disability. And sometimes it's all actually, when I was going through some of the stuff, and I was telling myself, it's painful. I don't want to go through this again. I don't want to read the sad stuff again. But the point is, politically, it makes a lot of sense to go over, revisit the vulnerability which you might have lost. Because over the years, what happens, you start with on a path of radical vulnerability, that I will tell it all, that I will say everything, whatever happens with my life. And then you realize the world isn't changing because you are being vulnerable. And that hurts, because then you realize maybe just pretending to be okay is good enough. But then why do you do it? Why do you write it all? Why do you be vulnerable? Why do you, someone disabled wrote me an email and said, how can you write about everything? And I said, if I hold back, perhaps people will think that I am moderating my truth and they will not take me seriously. And I will not take myself seriously if I'm moderating my truth. If I'm constantly questioning how much of myself am I offering. It also comes from a place of loss, where you have lost faith in the society and how it sees disabled people. A little context, I became disabled late in life. I was disabled early on too. Basically, I was born with something called Vater syndrome, which is a rare disorder. And it affects your different organs. So I was born with a spinal cord which was curved. I was born with imperforate anus, which in the book, as I mentioned, I was born without an ass, which sounds funny actually. And it's later on, that space is created within your body. And I was born with renal failures and that sort of stuff. So it's a complicated disease, and later on it deteriorated to turn into locomotor disability and constant UTIs, which again led to kidney failures, kind of episodes. But what this book is a result of is a process of dying, because nothing motivates you more than dying, or almost dying. Because when you are dying, you think about all the shit you have done in this world, and that no one will remember you. So at least you leave some trace of that you existed, And the book is a documentation of whatever it is. It's basically saying, I existed. I have existed on this earth for these years, and whatever my experience Well, for me, they were my truth. They might not be the universal truth. In my perspective, they are close to what I feel is my truth. So, without delay, I would start reading. The first piece I wanted to read was, of course, Diapers, Dating, and Disappointment, because it was a very important piece for me. This was the first piece that I ever put out in the world. This was also in a phase where I was struggling to date, find the right vocabulary for dating as a disabled person in Delhi. That's a match. In my fantasies, I draw you with a pencil. I draw myself with an eraser. I have a fear buried deep inside me that someday someone will find me attractive. Someone would want to touch me, make love to me, running their hands over my disabled body. Not turned off by the proportions of my body or the way it lies on the bed, hunched like it is walking through a dream. What should I tell them before we make love? Should I tell them that I wear a diaper? They, sh- they would know that eventually. How would I tell them that? Should I start with my history of diseases? I have to tell them about my scoliosis and my infections, my urinary tract infections, infections that recur with growing frequency these days. We would use a condom, of course. We have to use a condom. Here, take E. coli and thanks for making love with me. I can't do that to anyone, not after knowing that they really like my body. The thought makes me scared. I don't know if I'm capable of having penetrative sex. I haven't done that for almost a decade. Not since I became disabled. The first few years of being disabled were just about coping with disability. How to go out without your bladder getting the best of you, or worse still, when you lose control over your shit while walking outside in a mall or somewhere else. You run towards the bathroom, but it's already too late. The film is about to start. My friends are waiting. There's no way I can watch the film now. My nerves are aching. There's a spasm that makes it hard for me to use my right leg. Sorry, I had some urgent work. Had to rush out. No more movie plans for me. Not before I learn to empty my bowels before I step out of the house and wear a diaper just in case my bowels betray me. Adult diaper, my best friend. Adult diaper, the words cause a flutter in the medical store. They pile up in my wastebasket every week till I pack them in a black dustbin bag and deliver them personally to the garbage bin. A secret document of my lived life, delivered without anyone noticing. I was scared about sharing this secret even with friends. The word might get out soon and ruin whatever chances I had of going out on a date. Not that wearing a diaper was the only deal breaker. What does it mean to love a disabled person? Does it mean empathy? Do you empathize with your lover? Maybe it's about passion and understanding. But can you understand someone without empathizing with them? I love you. I'm sorry, but I don't want to be a burden on you. My friend says disabled people can be negative. I agree. We are so negative that sometimes the able bodied mind never reaches us. The distance is too far on a number line. Recently, a cab driver asked me if I was married. I said no. I said, "Oh, you have money. You must be getting laid anyhow." I looked at his face in the mirror beside him. A young man in his 20s. Maybe for him, access to sex was just about money. Maybe he had been rejected by someone because of money. Maybe. I didn't tell him that my only date through an online dating site was with a disabled girl. We went on a date and she only wanted to talk about our disabilities. Plus, getting sex was not a problem for her. Men are bastards, you know. They don't care if you're disabled. They just want to do it. I wasn't envious anymore. There are times when I'm full of self-hatred for my body. I don't have a dressing table at home. It makes me feel better about myself. I keep telling myself that I am losing weight. But t-shirts don't lie. I was in the hospital for a month around January with a severe kidney infection. And by March, all my t shirts were tight. I thought you were supposed to lose weight when you fell ill. All given escaped me. Being fat is the least of my problem when you have wearing a diaper and have a urinary tract infections all the time. You pee so much that you forget male genitalia has any other purpose. It's when you get better that your desire reawakens. But then everyone makes you look bad, makes you look in the mirror. You're still fat and disabled. You become sad and then you become depressed. Spells of decent physical health occupied by bad mental health till it becomes a self repeating cycle. In my defense, I would like to say I love myself, but that is probably going too far. The first time I proposed to a girl as a 20-year-old, she told me she liked me but didn't love me. I think I agree with her. Even I only like myself. The thought of not being loved doesn't haunt me anymore. It bothers my romantic heart sometimes, but there are so many people who can't find love. So I go out, have fun with my friends, read books, write poetry, enjoy long platonic conversations. It's just a few minutes every day, probably around midnight when my body hurts. It laments everything that eludes it, every touch, every sensation. And only then it is reminded of its incompleteness. Incomplete yearning, longing. It's like a melancholic song that never ends. It never ends. I think I don't need to even clarify. You know a lot about me by this chapter. Just and most of the things still are part of my life. I am wearing a diaper, and when Shiva offered me chai, I said I will drink it later. Have it later because I'm constantly worried about. This event almost cancelled because Shiva said we have to do this, and I sent her my urine routine report. That's it. That's my love language. If I'm very frank with someone, I send them my urine report, and it said pus cells more than 150, and the normal is 0 to 5. So I said, boss, day cleaner. I'm not sure. So that is a part of living with UTI. I'm sure a lot of you have had terrible UTI experiences. One of the things in fact, which I want to share is that I had a friend who was blind, and she once went to a government office, and because you are blind, you actually don't see if the toilet is dirty or not. She was not with someone, so she went inside, used the toilet, and she was bleeding for 15 days. She had one of the worst sepsis that one could had in life. And just because you are blind, you can't see how dirty the government toilet is, you are ruined for a month. And there were other things which happens with you, but this is, I think, one of the general conversations. It has been a conversation starter for me with women, because most of the women I lived in Bihar, many of them were working in development sector, and they would complain to me because they thought I'm the safe space. They would complain to me about not being able to use the toilet for the longest time, and they had to hold their pee. And thankfully, because I told them that same stuff, man. I don't drink if I'm on the field. I was going out on the field and working in development sector when I was more able-bodied, probably. But even then, I couldn't drink enough water because it creates a lot of problems. Anyways, so continuing the theme, this chapter is called The Litany of Shame. You asked for the adult diapers at a local store for the first time. What size? I don't know, sir. It's for my grandfather. He's on the heavy side, almost my size. The cab is outside your apartment. You're trying to put on your new pair of jeans. From the right ankle downwards, everything is numb. You push it through. It just bends. It is stuck in the middle. You can hear the cab driver waiting. You sit down and start fighting with your jeans. The battle is a tough one. You use your hand to pull the leg through the jeans. Your leg hurts. Duh. It doesn't because it's numb. What the hell? There's a girl you like. You fix a date with her. She's dressed for the occasion. You are sweating like a pig because of all the walking you had to do to find the place. As you walk towards her, you fall. People rush to help you. Where did they come from? Did they magically just appear? You shrug them off. Are you okay? She asks. We can do this sometime else if you're not feeling well. An airport bathroom. You want to pee. You go and stand at the urinal. Your legs are weak today. Your bladder is itchy. You realize you are not confident enough to stand and pee. You shift to the queue for the commode. Someone looks at you and smiles. Your friends make a plan. The venue is without a lift. On the second floor, the stairs are uneven. Your bowels are full. Your necks are numb. You tell them at the last moment that you can't make it. You tell them you have fallen ill. It always works. You're always ill. Take care, they say. You carry a bag with you all the time. Why do you carry the bag all the time? It must be hard on your back. You are at a party, a random woman you have only just met wants a phone charger. You are careless. You tell her, take it out from your bag. You forget that there are other things in the bag, an adult diaper and spare underwear. You go for a play. You see someone from your able bodied past in the audience. You want to meet them, but you are afraid. The way they generally look at you makes you uncomfortable. The way you have to explain everything. Here's my tragic story and the list of diseases on my CV. I have worked hard to acquire them in the last 8 years. The play gets over. You wait till the person has left. You choose a different exit to leave. You are with people you really like. It's a celebratory occasion. You decide to have a few drinks. You start to dance. You love dancing. You were a good dancer when you were in primary school. Really, primary school, I was the best dancer. You dance till you have lost your shoes. The next day, there is a video of you dancing. With your back towards the camera, it doesn't look like you were dancing. Your feet are uneven, barely moving. You're about to lose your balance. The camera is waiting for you to fall. Ha! Funny or die. An elderly uncle is seeing you after a few months. I think you have gained weight. An elderly uncle at an ice cream shop. You must be trying to lose weight. An elderly uncle driving an auto rickshaw. You should exercise and follow Baba Ramdev. They talk about marriages all the time in my family. It's like the set of Hum Saath Saath Hai. They even discuss all the details, venues, music, clothes. Everything is discussed. Everyone is in contention. Even 18-year-olds, except yours truly. If it gets too heavy, please tell me. Okay. Some long lost poems. Night turned desire into candy floss, but we had already brushed our teeth. There was a time when I was happy with unrequited love. At least I could love deeply and without any regrets. But as life moved on, I became better at understanding things, and this unrequited business seemed childish. It was time to unlearn. These days, I don't find myself in love. I don't even think about it. It is better to be in love, no matter how unrequited it is, or is it better to be broken? Broken so that the idea of love seeps out as soon as it enters you. Broken so that the idea of love becomes something you analyze and not something you feel. I tried to write a love poem yesterday and failed. I wasn't miserable though. I accepted it. Like I have accepted most things in life. 2 months of illness every year, accepted. Possible immobility for the rest of my life, accepted. Maybe I don't deserve love, accepted. How could I expect someone to be in love with me? I would reject myself if we traded places. It's not about self love, it's just practical. I can't blame people for not being attracted to me. I've rationalized it. I've rationalized everything, even love. When was the last time your heart went into overdrive? Mine went crazy around year and a half ago, and I let it bleed. It cost me a few friendships and days of sanity. I'm not sure it bleeds the same way it used to do before when I was younger. Is there something wrong with my heart? Should I get it checked? Maybe it's to do with, something to do with all the fat swirling around. I talk to many disabled men and women these days. Some of them are friends now. We talk a lot about love. I listen to them from a careful distance. An observer. I used to be like them. I used to say the same things. What happened to me? I grew up or I fucked up. But what is life without the heartache of love? Shut up. There's still life to be lived. I don't think about love when I think about possible relationships anymore. I think about the disclaimers that I have to give. I think about body parts. I think about orgasm. I am hereby to satisfy you. I don't need an orgasm. I tell all women even in my fantasies. I bleed shame. I rationalize it, when and where to pee, how to make love on so not so empty bowel. I can't commit because I never know when I will be ill next. What a lame excuse. No, I'm serious. That there is no guarantee. We can have a short fling, but I can't guarantee pleasure either. Try and rationalize it. Try and rationalize it. My love grows in the dark, dormant rooms, and longs to be left alone. Who told you to come dressed up as the sun? I will read it again. My love grows in dark, dormant rooms and longs to be left alone. Who told you to come dressed up like the sun? There are so many people who spend a life in imaginary love stories, both able bodied and disabled. Why make such a fuss about love? No, I only care about desire. But that is even more imaginary than love, isn't it? Mr. and Mrs. Sharma? Who do you picture in your head when you make sweet love to your partner? It takes a heart to fuck it up. Hormones are way more truthful. It was just hormonal. I don't love you. I was overcome by emotions. I don't love you. I was just joking. I don't love you. Can we be friends again? I don't love you. What happened to flowers and saplings? What happened to the moon and the stars? What happened to cuddly little things and fragrances that lingered in your memory? Have they also rationalized the idea of love? I hope. I hope tomorrow is a poem, a love poem. But even if it isn't, I wouldn't shed a tear over it. I need to survive. I need to be alive. I need to keep all my body parts in a safe that doesn't declare bankruptcy. If love were a bank, I wouldn't put any money in it. But it doesn't seem interesting enough to have an account. I die every day as a poet. I survive by being an accountant. Love is an allegory written in numbers. My maths is weak, so is my translation. Someday it will come back to me. I don't need to believe in love to write love poems. Till then, I will prepare a balance sheet of words and hide it in a book of poems. I'm sorry for the intensity. So, primarily, I'm a poet, and my reaction to everything is to write a poem. Um, if I have to declare to the world that I use a diaper, I will write a poem about it. I've published a poem about it. A diaper is a thing of beauty when everyone is losing control. It helps people to keep their shit together. So it's very literal, but it's very fun. Uh, and I was, so I had COVID, Delta wave, and I was in ICU for 12 days and I was dying basically. And so the thing which I did when they shifted me to the general ward was to write a poem. And the poem was about about the nurse trying to find my nerves and pricking me continuously, and there was blood all over. And I managed to romanticize it. And I think it helps a lot, romanticizing things, especially when you're in a hospital dying. I think it gives you a lot of hope. I think romance is, I believe in romance. One of the reasons, like, I have edited Agents of Ishq. If you are familiar with that publication, it's run by Paramita Vora. And while Paramita is very romantic, I'm very real. But I agree that one has to aspire to romance, even if you can't achieve it in your real life. Because romance makes you hopeful. And that is something I treasure. The invisible act of being. There is song, always a song playing in my head. Then my head starts playing with the idea of rain. The rain is heavy, heaviness seeps in. There is seepage on the walls. Do not build walls around you. You are broken, broken but beautiful. How beautiful are the withered petals of jasmine, withering in a book, shrinking with the passage of time. Time makes no sense when you shrink from within. I went and did theatre to hide from the world. Backstage, in the darkness, no one could see me. I wouldn't see myself. I wouldn't see my flaws. What a beautiful, beautiful thing it would be. Never center stage, always in the wings, never an actor, away from the praise. Is there something wrong with him? No, no, he's practicing to be invisible. He's on method number 8, hide from failure. Living in dark rooms doesn't rob you of foresight. You switch on the lights when you realize that. My legs have shrunk over the years. Muscle shaves itself from the lower legs. I don't want them to become invisible. That would be awkward. Only 2/3 of my body would be visible. Freak. I would have joined a circus. I was once Santa Claus in school. Really. Can I be the Joker now? Not the sad, filmy one or the angry TikTok one, but the Joker of the circus, hiding behind paint, invisible. The circuses have all closed down, sadly. Every day I think about becoming a troll. It's a popular option with unemployed people like me. You get to have the face of an egg. You get to use all the angst. All your failures account for something. You can hide behind anonymity. Except for the government and those who pay you, no one will ever know you. And you still get to have opinions, vile opinions, or casual ones, or abusive ones. Your work profile can be diverse, but the pay is minimal for all the poison. There are only so many snakes that I can hide inside me. I shy away from protest groups, although I am always part of protests. I raise my voice whenever my conscience pricks me. I can always delete that voice later. It's not as if I am considered an authority on voices. My skills as an actor are still weak. The world has upgraded to projections while I'm still stuck with a small magic lantern. Someone please tell Proust he can revisit his childhood in my heart. It's full of forlorn abandonment and longing. But there is a magic lantern that tells fascinating stories at night. You can hide behind the idea of work, you know, but nothing I do is considered to be work by society. Everyone will see it through. Also, I wanted to be invisible, not alienated. Offices don't make you invisible. You are still expected to make your deadlines, put in the hours, suck up to people, network, as they call it. It might end up alienating you as a person. I heard this on some random YouTube videos, but if someone asks you, tell them that the writer is an authority on Marx. One can always hide behind daily routine. There is a lot of work to be done. Cleaning, washing, cooking, procrastination, fantasizing. Lock yourself in a house and the world will forget that you exist sooner than later. Out of mind, out of sight, or the other way around, whichever suits you. There's always an inner monologue running in your head though, which glorifies solitude, which praises your restraint. When you start believing that you have become someone great by becoming invisible, you no longer remain invisible. A mirror is always staring back at you. Being invisible should be a state of being, peaceful. It should come with no reputation. Maybe it's a spiritual state. But I don't understand spirits anymore. I quit drinking a year ago. What do you think about this joke? Did it make you feel as if your intelligence doesn't matter? Good. Then you are on your way to wisdom. When you get there, please write to me. Send it anywhere, I will be invisible by then. Every day I do yoga to become invisible. But whenever I culminate the act, I wonder if I will reach the stage when I can do a headstand and put it on Instagram. I don't want to tell the entire world that I can do a headstand, just 120 people that I want to impress. Often I delete social media, I delete myself, but I have no intentions of being anonymous. I just want to be invisible. I am still learning how that is possible. Please write to me if you have found out. Just send a blank postcard. I will know it is from a person who has learned to attain invisibility. Yeah, done. Now I will, yeah. So basically, and I enjoy these pieces because these pieces actually allow me to outgrow myself, because I don't want to be in that routine of everyday routine of trying to decipher your body, your world. It's too much. And you lose your sense of humor. And, people say self deprecation is bad, but I think if you are going through a tragedy, you find a lot of humor in self deprecation. Otherwise, you start to take yourself very seriously, and you are miserable. Actually, you pretend that you are trying to find a joke. Like most of the comedy things which we see, dark humor which we see these days, it's so sad. Like I feel bad for them. I used to react earlier with all the disability jokes around, and now I think they're sad. They have nothing, so they will say, "एक लंगड़ा था, एक लूला था, एक अंधा था." Oh, ha 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 ha. ठीक है. What is it? But you can't torture yourself over it again and as disabled people. I often tell this now, that you can't torture yourself over these stupid things which people do, because they feel so miserable about themselves that they feel so bad about themselves with Instagram and social media, that they have to pull out a random disabled person who is begging on the street to make a joke out of him. Oh, that's a lot of reaching out. Now we come to hope. Hope is a thing with feathers, not without feathers. By the way, my idols, as if you read the book, you will know that I love Mary Oliver, I love Emily Dickinson, I love Van Gogh, I love the people I love. I love Rilke, I love all of these people. And so, a lot of, I find there's an intellectual culture in this country which is very like, इतना emotional क्यों हो रहे हो? If you meet any intellectual who is worth its salt, they were like, emotional क्यों हो रहे हो? And you find all these, whoever preaches feminism, love, and you find these poems, wonderful poems by, and they will always put these poems down, like, Mary Oliver, she's not a good poet, yeah. Oh, let's read some serious poet they will mention. I don't know their names actually. I haven't read Shakespeare or Wordsworth, but I'm a CBSE product, so it's completely out of, there are no, you don't do these things. Anyways, so what keeps you going? What keeps me going? I don't know. I'm living through the moments. I gather small, irrelevant memories. I look forward to things when I get up every morning. The sound of birds humming with the early sun, grinding ginger using a small mortar and pestle, only to realize that the unknown neighbor upstairs is doing the same. Watching tea leaves infect the water with their color, flipping an omelette and neither of us falling to pieces. The smell of clothes washed in jasmine flavored detergent. Going outside in the balcony to find that the plants are doing all right, to have things to do even when I have nothing to do. Curiosity, learning about new places and people, order and disorder, only to forget about it an hour later. Not reading my newspaper and instead using it as a napkin in emergencies. I like reading poetry. At any moment of the day, I can read some Emily Dickinson and find it to be an instant cure for my extreme loneliness. I read Mary Oliver and find myself gazing at nature's gift even when they are nowhere in sight. I'm always in awe of Rilke's intensity. I adore Pessoa's nonchalance. I consume love poems without any inhibition. I read Keats and absorbed it sip by sip at a time. Then I read it again. I write some poetry. I write when I'm feeling lonely. I write when I'm happy. I definitely write one when I'm down or angry. I put it all out. Not that I care anyone if anyone reads it or not, although part of me does. Putting it out is a natural continuation of the process for me. I feel seen and heard. I like making plans. I have a daily plan, a weekly plan, and a monthly plan, and a yearly plan. I do not write them down. I don't keep a planner, nor do I make it a point to follow the plans to the T. I enjoy the process of making plans, of looking forward to things, small and big things. I will bake a cake tomorrow. I will try and walk a little more inside the house this week. I will go out at least once a month. I will travel this year. Things that might seem very basic to the able bodied world but need a lot of effort and planning for me. But is that enough to keep me going? The question keeps me awake at odd hours during the night. I lie in my bed, writing something, scrolling the timelines of people who seem to be going somewhere in life, and I tag along sometimes. An alternative life, an alternative reality. It's a good distraction. I will always return to my life at the end of the day. My body is always present. It nudges me back to reality. I'm here. I'm alive. I'm living in my book. My pulse rate is 85. My SpO2 is 99. My blood pressure is 135 by 85. My temperature is 98.2 Fahrenheit. My bladder is melodramatic, always acting up. My nose is stuffed. My legs are fragile. My weight is heavy. My urine is infected now and then. My bowels don't move properly. They have an irregular rhythm. And I have to be conscious of it before making plans. My kidneys are ectopic yet functional. My spine is curved. When I get up tomorrow, I will have acute back pain for around an hour. Then it will either disappear or I will get used to it. But as a whole, everything works all right for 8 months out of 12 every year. If I have to rate them, I will give them a 5 out of 10. Although, to be fair to the body, despite all the setbacks, it doesn't stop me from enjoying bits and parts. A little bit of dancing when no one is watching, or finding pleasure in food or travel. I have future plans and sexual fantasies. I have a vivid imagination and kinks. I'm attractive at times. I'm full of desire for life on most days. Am I living my life to the fullest? In a world where living is seen as a commodity itself, life needs many certifications, many attestations, reviews. It's like going from one office to another to get approval from different people in power. People who have power over your life. You need approval from your parents that you are doing well so that you can sustain a life and fulfill their expectations. You need approval from relatives who want you to fit within their tabulations of compressions and customs. You need approval from friends who will judge your achievements and social positioning. You need approval from society as they judge on the normative rules they have set: income, productivity, health, social position, caste adherence, subservience, gender norms, productivity, unsaid rules of a rule book that has no end. The offices of approval are inaccessible, but people adapt. They get a job, they earn an income, they get married, they have kids. At the end of the day, though, their hearts are heavy. Someone or the other will find a reason to deny their approval. I refuse to be bound by approvals. I'm not going to them for signatures. They can say that I'm not living. They can treat me with pity. I have created a new normal for myself. A normal where the only person I seek approval from is myself. My productivity cannot be measured by society. I do not live to be deemed useful. I'm not saying I don't need validation from people around me. I want validation on my terms, but I'm not very good at measuring life quarter, half, full, empty. 10 years ago, I was a different person, someone who thought he could be able bodied and yet felt empty all the time. Today, I am a disabled person who has completely embraced his disability and often finds life is good. I have a few close friends, some validation from peers, work that I really like. Not bad. That said, being disabled every day is an alienating thing. Everyone wants acceptance from people around them, to feel part of something bigger, a family, a society, a nation, a world. But when you don't fit into the normal, you never feel accepted. At most, you feel included. Inclusion is not enough. It is often tokenistic and only emphasizes your divergence from the norm. It is in search of that acceptance, that belonging, that I often yearn to find or build a community of disabled people where we're no longer where no longer need acceptance because we are all different. The idea of finding that community keeps me hopeful. At my very core, though, all roads lead to one place: my heart, my romantic, bleeding heart which longs for love. I'm hopeful because I'm always open to the idea of finding love. All the acceptance in the world can't fill the void that yearning to be loved creates. Love has its myriad forms, and there are many people who do love me in their own ways. Perhaps for me, love is finding a space within myself where I can be truly free, free from identity, free from the need for validation, free from expectations of or acceptance. Love for me is the end of all forms of yearning. For years, I have dissected this idea and found many faults in it. This is not how relationships work in real life. A voice inside me says, you need to have mutually agreed to terms of engagement. You need to prepare to live with each other, plan for life together, plan for paying rent or having enough money to pay installments of a car or a house. Be practical about day to day things. What the voice inside me, my head doesn't understand is that I don't want relationships. All I want is to be truly loved. Relationships can be part of that deal, of course. Over the years, the idea of love has found itself feeling foolish in the world. People seek relationships, they seek attractiveness, they seek practicability. On all these accounts, I fall short. I have fallen short by a big margin. To add to those, others have a very strong idea of what a relationship should be for me. My mother wants me to have a partner who can be my primary caregiver when she dies. Some of my friends want me to have a partner who is not interested in sex. Others want me to get a government job because in India that solves every problem, right? All these suggestions carry good intentions, yet all of these are an assault to the idea of self for me. Will a person like me never find love? What a terrible question to ask yourself. A question that only leads to doors of self pity and self hatred because love has no space for self pity. Things would be easier if I just loved myself. Another voice inside me says, repeat it like a hymn: self love is the key. A popular one, a popular one these days. What is self love? Isn't accepting your disabled body an ill body form of self love? Isn't being kind and caring a form of self love? Isn't raising your voice for people the margins a form of self love? If eating chocolates and tub of ice cream is form of self love, then boss, I've been there too. For me, self love is a refuge you find when you're too afraid to tell yourself that you deserve to be loved by someone, that each and every part of you is desirable, inside and outside, that you can hope to find a space where you belong completely and do not have to be insecure or seek validation for who you are. Love indeed needs a lot of courage. Falling in love and hoping to love again needs even more courage. It is a worthy idea to live for, and even if the world may not see you as a wise person for pursuing that course in the long run, it makes you a better and much more beautiful person. This idea of love lives within me, even if I don't do anything about it. I don't need to, even if it makes me feel lonelier on some days, even if it really never works out. The idea itself makes me look forward to months and years that lie ahead. It makes me blush while talking to a new admirer. It makes me excited at the prospect of an online muse whom I will probably never meet. It makes me look forward to living my life, creating stories and weaving dreams. Indeed, hope is a thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the world without words, without the words, and never stops at all. Never.